Yeah.
We have, yeah, because there's sometimes it doesn't play on that
There's a
TV.
computer, yeah. Well, that video won't play on that DVD player. It's not like a regular movie you get at like a Blockbuster.
Right.
As soon as you see your
Probably back on the stand.
Right now?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Thank you. half the time it doesn't work. More than half.
Yeah. Okay.
Remain seated, court's back in session.
Okay, is there anything that we need to take up before we bring the jury back in?
Judge, I just want to advise the court that when the time comes to start with the DVD, that Mr. Farmer with my office is going to really be helping me, so.
Okay, that's fine.
Nothing from the defense, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, let's go ahead and bring the jury in. Please don't have the camera on the door while the jurors are coming in. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Can I ask one of the court deputies a
Wait,
question?
what?
Can I ask one of the court deputies a question?
Jurors are present.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. And while you're getting settled in, I'll go ahead and go over the same questions I did this morning. If your answer is yes to any of my questions, please raise your hand. During the lunch recess, did any of you have any conversations with each other or with anybody else about the case? No hands are being raised. Did any of you overhear anybody talking about the case? No hands are raised. Did any of you read or listen to any radio, television, or newspaper reports about the case? No hands are being raised. Did any of you drive by any of the places described in the evidence for the purpose of doing an independent investigation? No hands are being raised. Did any of you read or create any emails, text messages, tweets, blogs, or social networking pages about the case? No hands are being raised. And finally, did any of you use any type of an electronic device to go on the internet to do any independent research about the case, people, places, things, or terminology? No hands are being raised. Thank you very much. You may proceed.
Mr. Zimmerman, at some point, did the fire department arrive?
Yes, sir.
And tell us what happened when the fire department arrived. And I guess what I'm really focusing on is what happened with you. What did they do to you, or what did they do with you, or have you do?
They asked me if I wanted to be transported to the hospital, and I said yes.
Okay. And did they place you in the back of a fire department, rescue, one of those trucks?
An ambulance, yes, sir.
Ambulance.
Yes, sir.
Now, while in the ambulance, still at the scene there on Lake Mary Boulevard, did a detective with the Lake Mary Police Department, a female a lady by the name of Michelle Hernandez, did she arrive?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what did she do? What did you observe her do?
I only saw her at the point when she got on or into the ambulance. So
And what did she do when she got into the ambulance?
it appeared to me like she was taking pictures.
Did Did you want that?
No, sir.
And first, let me ask you, why did you not want that?
Well, I had told the sergeant on the scene, Biles, I think his name was, that I did not want them, because my priority at the time was, I'm sorry, based on my past
Straight on Martin Trump.
Yes, sir. I
Go ahead.
didn't go to the hospital immediately. So when this happened, my priority was going to the hospital. I didn't know to what extent my injuries were, so I didn't want to be held up taking pictures. I wanted to just get to the hospital as quickly as possible.
And let me ask you this, were you interested in talking with her?
No, sir.
Okay. And at some point, I don't want to use the word hostilities, or did it get hostile, but at some point, did it become a little tense with you and her?
Yes, sir.
And did you curse at her?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And first, let me ask you, do you regret cursing at her?
Yes.
Objection, that's irrelevant.
Sustained.
What did you say to her?
Well,
You cursed at her, then tell us what
verbatim.
you said. Verbatim, what did you say to her?
I can't remember verbatim, but I did apologize to her when I did my interview at Winter Park.
That's objection, non-responsive.
Sustained.
I'll rephrase it. Let me ask you this.
Yes, sir.
Can you answer this yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Did you call her words to the effect, blonde-haired bitch?
Yes, sir.
Okay, words to that, maybe not verbatim, but words to that effect?
I can tell you what I believe.
What do you believe you said?
Well, she had prompted me with a question. So.
She asked you a question?
Yes, sir.
And was that what prompted you to say that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and what did she ask you?
She said, why don't you want your pictures taken? Are you a suspect, or you sound more like, are you a victim? You sound more like a suspect to me.
Okay, and what was your response to that?
And again, I'm sorry, but you want it verbatim?
Yes.
I said, blonde bitch or bimbo. You sound like both to me.
Okay. That upset you when she asked you that question?
I was upset when they kept taking pictures of me. I had already told the Lake Mary officer, Biles, at the scene that I didn't want pictures and I wasn't giving a statement. And then she was plain clothes. I didn't know who she was. I didn't know that she was with Lake Mary. I was just on the ambulance, and the next thing I knew, there was somebody on there with the camera taking pictures. So, and I knew that I had been shot at, and I wanted to go to the hospital. So yes, I was upset.
Okay. And let me ask you this question, Mr. Zimmerman. Why, you kind of answered, but let me be a little more specific
Yes,
now.
sir.
Why did you not want to give a statement at that time?
I'm sorry, and just as bluntly as you put it, the Trayvon Martin incident, I did not seek counsel, and I found out it's wisest to seek counsel, but primarily I was injured. I wanted to go to the hospital.
Okay. And did you, at the scene or on the way to the hospital at some point, did you call your attorney?
Yes, sir.
And did he give you advice?
Yes, sir.
What did he tell you to do?
To have the injuries documented.
Okay. Mr. Zimmerman, you alluded to this before, but let me ask you more about it now. What injuries did you sustain?
I had pieces of glass embedded on my face, both sides of my face, and glass had sprayed and embedded into my arm.
Okay. And the window that the bullet went into itself, did that shatter? Did
Yeah.
it explode into pieces, or?
Yes, and I'm sorry if I could clarify one point.
Go ahead.
They're not sure that it was all glass in my face. They said it might have been pieces of...
You're saying.
Sustained.
Okay, but you sustained injuries of stuff flying around because of the shot, is that a fair?
That would be leading objection.
How did you sustain your injuries?
When Mr. Apperson shot at me, the
Okay.
glass sprayed in my face and metal shavings sprayed in my face.
Okay. Showing Mr. Lefebvre, double M for identification, double L and double K for identification. May I approach now?
Yes, you may.
Let me show you double M, double L, and double K for identification. Ask you to look at it, these photographs, and tell me if you recognize them.
Yes, sir, I do.
What do you recognize them as?
These are the pictures that a nurse at the hospital took of my injuries after they had irrigated them, but prior to bandaging them, and the blood on my shorts that I saw.
A true and accurate depiction of the injuries you sustained?
Yes, sir.
I'd offer this in evidence as a state's exhibit.
Any objections?
No objection, thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Double K will come in as State's Exhibit 16, double L will be State's Exhibit 17, and double M will be State's Exhibit 18. Yes, you may.
Let me first show you State's Exhibit 16. Zoom out. What does this State's Exhibit 16 show?
That's what I was trying to explain earlier. They don't, they told me it was either glass or metal that was embedded in my...
Sustained.
Okay. Tell us what it shows, please. State's Exhibit 16.
Me?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I don't know how.
What is this photo depict?
Oh, that's the date Mr. Apperson shot at me about, that shows the injuries caused by him shooting at me through the window.
Okay, that's what I'm asking.
Yes, sir.
And let me show you State's Exhibit 17. Did these also show, well, what do they show?
Injuries from his .357 Magnum on my upper right arm.
And is this photograph also, actually, I may have had the wrong. Does this photograph also show the blood spot?
Yes, sir. It's,
Do you have the report?
I do. It's right there. It's dried at that point.
And you mentioned earlier that when you first heard the bang and saw the blood, that you looked down and you saw a spot of blood on your shorts?
Yeah, I first noticed the droplet on my eyelash, and then I looked down and I saw the drop on my shorts. Yes, sir.
Is that the drop that was on your shorts that you referred to?
Yes, sir.
And then State's Exhibit 18, just a same as 17, but just a little different angle.
Yes, sir. Right there.
Let me change subjects a little bit now. First of all, let me ask you, do you have a license to carry a concealed firearm?
Yes, sir.
back on May 15th, 2015, I'm sorry, May 11th, 2015, did you have a license to carry a concealed firearm?
Yes, sir.
You do now.
Yes, sir.
Did you have any, let me start with the cabin of the truck. Did you have any guns, firearms in the cabin of the truck?
On May,
On May 11th, 2015?
Yes, sir.
Tell the jury, what did you have?
make and model, caliber.
Yes, please.
I had a 1911 in .40 caliber made by Springfield, and I had a Glock 9mm.
Let me ask you, where was the 40 caliber?
The .40 caliber was on a magnet between the center mid console and my right knee.
And let me ask you, the hammer to that gun, to the 40 caliber, was it pulled back? Was it, I'm not a gun person, but was it pulled back, the hammer?
When you say was it pulled back, you don't pull it back, it stays back when
Okay.
it's loaded.
Well, let me ask it this way. Explain the positioning of the hammer on that gun, on the 40 caliber.
Sure, it was back, that's the only way you can have it.
And explain why. When you say that, what do you mean?
That's the design of the gun. It's a 1911. Once it's loaded and chambered around, the hammer stays back. You can't have the hammer forward. In other words, there's double action and single action. Double action means you pull the trigger and the hammer goes back and then forward. That's two actions.
Right.
Single action means the hammer is always back, and you pull the trigger and it's one single action. 1911s are single action, which means that the hammer is always positioned back.
It can be positioned forward.
It can be, but it's inoperable. I mean, it's a paperweight at that point.
Okay, I understand. And that 40 caliber handgun, was it loaded?
Yes, sir.
Fully loaded?
Yes, sir.
And was there a round in the chamber?
I'm sure, yes, sir.
And let me ask you, is that, do you typically keep it fully loaded? I mean, why is it fully loaded?
Yes, sir. I'm answering based off of my normal, or how I always carry it, unless it's home. But in my vehicle or on my persons, it would be loaded at capacity.
Okay. Now, you also mentioned a 9mm.
Yes, sir.
Where was that 9mm located?
That was located inside of a backpack in the space between the mid center console and the front dash.
And was that gun loaded? You recall?
I don't recall exactly, but I would tend to say yes. I don't.
And why is it just typically that's the way?
Yes, sir.
You do it?
Yes, sir.
Now, in the bed of the truck, first of all, let me start off by asking this question. Is the bed of the truck accessible to you sitting in the driver's seat in the cabin?
Are you talking about my truck specifically, with the tonneau cover on it the way it was that day? Absolutely not.
And was there a gun in the bed of the truck?
I was only informed about that later by Lake Mary Police that they had found one in there. Yes.
So you didn't know about that gun?
I had no clue.
Whose gun was that?
I don't even No, to this date. I had helped a friend move, and he had left ammunition, clothes, and from what I can tell, an old .22 in the back of my truck.
Okay. But that gun in the bed of your truck was not yours?
No, sir, absolutely not.
Was that gun ever returned to you?
I don't recall, sir.
Now, was there inside the cabin of the, inside the cabin of the truck, was there also a black bag that contained ammunition?
I don't recall if it was inside the cabin or inside the bed of the truck, but it was certainly in the vehicle that day.
Do you know what I'm referring to?
Yes, sir.
Do you recall what type of ammunition was in that bag?
Mostly shotgun shells and practice rounds.
And, one moment, please.
Yes.
I'm showing Mr. with a double X for identification. Also showing Mr. with a double over identification. I don't believe Mr. LeVay has any objection to these.
No objection to 00 or double X?
I announce no objection, thank you.
Okay, 00 will come into evidence as State's Exhibit 19, double X will come in as State's Exhibit 20. Yes, 00 is 19, double X is 20. Yes, you may.
Let me show you what's been introduced into evidence as State's Exhibit 19 and 20. First, ask, do you recognize 20?
Yes, sir.
And what is depicted in 20? And I'm referring specifically to the black bag that's in 20.
That would be the black canvas, I guess, range bag or ammunition bag.
Okay. When you say range bag, what do you mean by range bag?
A bag that you take to and from the gun range when you're practicing.
Okay. And let me show you what's been introduced into evidence as State's Exhibit 19. Recognize that?
Yes, sir.
And what does 19 show?
It shows ammunition, some dummy rounds, and some tools.
Okay. And was that contained within the black bag that is depicted in State's Exhibit 20? What you're looking at now in 19, is that, those items contained in the black bag that's in State's Exhibit 20?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me just put it on the overhead. And,
Yes, sir.
And ask you some questions. talking about it, but with the laser pointer, can you show us the black bag that we've been talking about?
This one right here, sir.
And that states 20. Let me show you what 19. These items contained within 20? Within the bag that's shown in the State's Exhibit 20?
In the picture, yes, sir.
Okay. And just explain to the jury, please, what is that? Wait, can you use the laser pointer?
Sure, yes, sir. That and these are shotgun shells. These are dummy rounds. That's Allen keys.
What's a dummy round?
Something that you would use either when practicing or when typically practicing so that you don't damage the hammer or the firing pin. And
are they, if I could use the word, are those rounds inert? In other words,
absolutely.
they don't, no explosive in them?
No primer, no gunpowder, nothing. Yes, sir.
Go ahead, I'm sorry, go ahead.
This appears to be just regular handgun ammunition along with that. So, I'm sorry, this is the shotgun ammunition here, and then from here down is, it looks like this might be a bag with handgun ammunition as well. And, sorry, the Allen key and the cleaning kit right there.
What is that again?
And it's a like 4 or 5 Allen keys, I believe, and like some cleaning swabs.
Well, what is an Allen key?
A key used to tighten or adjust the different pieces of the firearm.
Okay. And you said there was something else in that another item in there?
I believe that paper is a piece of cleaning cloth.
Okay. And let me ask you this, Mr. Zimmerman, whose items are these and why are they all in the black bag?
I don't know exactly whose those are. When you go to the range, you tend to swap stuff with people. I would tend to say that they're mine because those are the caliber firearms I have, but I can't testify that those are all mine or not mine.
And this is something that, the bag is something that you would use to transport back and forth from the range?
Yes, sir.
Firing range?
Yes, sir.
And may I ask you this, what particular range do you use? Or do you vary?
I vary frequently. I don't go back to the same one often at all.
Okay. Can we mark these for
Just give them to the clerk, she'll mark them.
I'm going to show you some items in a moment, but you mentioned also that there was another gun in the backpack that you had in the trunk.
That was the Glock that I had mentioned already. Yes, sir.
Well, what type of backpack was that?
It's a sling type nylon backpack.
Just a regular type of backpack?
Objection leading.
Sustained.
It's just a regular type backpack.
Okay. And did you add anything to that backpack?
I had a bulletproof insert that was provided to me that I did have in it that day. Yes, sir.
Okay, and explain, you kind of just did right now, but let me ask you to be a little more specific. Explain what you mean by a bulletproof insert, and why did you do that?
A company provided me with it, and it had become, unfortunately, it had become popular with school shootings going on. They make an insert or bulletproof backpacks so that you can carry the child out in case there's a crazy shooter in the school. But this one was just the insert that was provided to me, and it's a sling type, so it could be pulled up in front of my chest to protect my vital organs.
Okay. You concerned about your physical safety
Yes, sir.
quite often?
Yes, sir.
And where was that backpack in your vehicle on May 11, 2015?
That was within arm's reach between the mid-center console and the dash of my car. There's a small space that's tall enough for me to tuck the backpack and be able to grab it if I have to.
First, let me, Mr. Buffet's already seen triple G for identification. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes, you may.
Let me
It's
show you.
It's not in evidence yet.
I'm sure.
It's not in evidence
I'm
yet.
sorry, Your Honor. Let me show you what's been marked as state's triple G for identification. You recognize this gun?
Yes, sir.
And then what is this?
My Springfield 1911 and .40 caliber.
And is this the firearm that you had in the, not in the backpack, but in the cabin itself?
Correct. That was on the magnet in between my knee and the console.
Okay, I'd offer this into evidence as an exhibit, Your Honor.
Any objections?
No objection.
Okay, triple G will come into evidence as State's Exhibit 21.
And publish it to the jury, Your Honor?
Yes, you may.
And the bullets, the magazine, do you recognize those to be from this gun?
Yes, sir.
Let me show you what's been marked for identification as State's Exhibit Triple H. Do you recognize this? It's upside down, but... You recognize this gun?
Yes, sir.
And what do you recognize this to be?
That would be my Glock 9mm.
That was in the backpack?
Yes, sir.
Okay, to offer this into evidence as a State's Exhibit, Your Honor.
Any objections?
No, Your Honor.
Triple H will come into evidence as State's Exhibit 22. Yes, you may.
Mr. Zimmerman, when, want to take you back now to the time when you flagged down that Lake Mary police officer on Lake Mary Boulevard.
Yes, sir.
As the officer was approaching, or during the time that you were about to have the interaction with the officer, did you do anything with the Springfield, the .40 caliber?
Yes, sir.
Tell the jury, what did you do with that gun?
As soon as I saw the officer get out of his car and start walking up towards mine, I put it into the mid-center console of the truck.
Okay. And why did you do that?
I didn't want to get shot. I didn't want it to be out and the officer to be concerned.
Okay. And that compartment, what type of, is it a secret compartment?
No, sir.
Tell the jury about that compartment.
It's a factory. It would be in addition to the center console or part of the center console that comes from the factory like that. And there was no modifications made.
Part of the standard Bridgeliner?
For that year and for every year since, I'm sure, yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir, standard.
You just wanted that gun out of sight when the officer approached, so it wouldn't be a problem?
Yes, sir.
Objection. Two objections. One is repetitive, the second is leading.
Sustained is to leading.
Let me, actually, the one that we just introduced a moment ago. Let me show you State's Exhibit 20. And Whitney laser pointer, is it that compartment that you put that gun into, is that visible?
It's hard to see.
Show us the
It's the lower part. It's this part right here, pardon, and it goes all the way down to it runs the length of that to the floorboard. So that front half is where I would have put it so that for the officer not to be concerned.
okay. Yeah, approach on it.
Yes, you may.
I'm showing Mr. A.
Yes, you may.
First of all, let me show you State's Exhibit ZZ for identification and ask you if you recognize that item.
Yes, sir.
And tell the jury what, well, first of all, how do you recognize it? What allows you to recognize that item?
I initialed it and dated it.
Okay, did you view that? Is that a DVD or something?
Yes, sir. It's a,
And did you watch that?
yes, sir.
And when did you watch that video?
The afternoon of September the 8th, 2016 is the date I have on here, so that's, I'm
Okay.
sure that's when I viewed it.
And what does that video depict?
Video from the post office on Lake Mary Boulevard of the vehicles driving east and westbound on Lake Mary Boulevard.
Okay. And is it that video a true and accurate depiction of the encounter that you had with Mr. Apperson on the afternoon of May 11, 2015, eastbound on Lake Mary Boulevard near the post office, and then westbound on Lake Mary Boulevard to the post office?
Yes, sir.
I'd offer this into evidence as an exhibit, Your Honor.
Any objections? Yes. Double Z will come into evidence as State's Exhibit 23.
Mr. Zimmerman, let me ask you this question. A moment ago, I asked you about the encounter between you and Mr. Apperson, and this video depicted that, or displayed it, and your answer was yes. You also testified about that Lake Mary police car being behind you
Yes, sir.
right after this incident.
Yes, sir.
Did you see that Lake Mary police car on this video also,
Yes, sir.
after the event that you've described between you and Mr. Apperson?
Yes, sir.
And let me, let me show you what's been marked for identification. RR, QQ, and PP. And also WW, VV, UU, TT, and SS. And first, let me ask you to look at the last five that I mentioned and tell me if you recognize it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Those specific 5 photographs, what do you recognize them to be?
Do you want me to give you the letter? Or,
Well, in general, I'm going to ask you in a
Sure.
moment specifically that, but in general, what do those 5 photographs depict?
They show my vehicle, the Honda Ridgeline, headed eastbound, and followed very closely by Mr. Apperson's Infiniti, and then it shows my vehicle headed westbound, and it shows Mr. Apperson's vehicle to the side of mine, slightly behind mine, to the passenger side of mine.
And are those photographs true and accurate depictions of that which they, representations of that which they purport to depict, namely the encounter between you and Mr. Apperson?
Yes, sir.
I'd offer these into evidence as State's exhibits, Your Honor.
Those 5 are also PP, QQ, and RR.
I'm sorry?
You were asking questions about the last 5, which would be double S through double W.
That's correct.
Are you offering in PP, QQ, RR?
I will in 1 second, Your
Okay, they're not part of this?
Honor. No, not 100%.
I just want to make the record clear. Is there any objections to double S, double T, W, double V, and double W?
No, I can just take one on.
Yes, you may.
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, double S through double W will come in as State's Exhibits 24 through 28.
And now, Mr. Zimmerman, specifically with regard to double P, double Q, and double R, let me ask you to look at those and tell me if you recognize them.
Yes, sir.
What do you recognize those photographs to depict?
It's the Lake Mary police vehicle that was behind me when I started to accelerate after being shot at by Mr. Apperson.
And are those photographs true and accurate representations of that which they purport to depict, namely the Lake Mary police vehicle behind you?
Yes, sir.
I'd offer these into evidence as State's Exhibit, Your Honor.
Do you have any objections?
No objection.
Okay, double P, double Q, and double R will come in into evidence as State's Exhibits 29 through 31. Yes, you may.
First, let me show you State's Exhibit 24. And Mr. Zimmerman, using the laser pointer, please, show us your vehicle.
I think the battery's dead.
Is it working?
Oh, there it goes. Sorry, that's the front of my vehicle right there, sir.
At this point, are you traveling eastbound on Lake Mary Boulevard?
Yes, sir.
Now, now I zoomed in a little bit. Can you show us again where you're?
Yes, sir. That's the front grille of my truck. That's the front passenger tire of my car.
Okay. Now let me show you State's Exhibit 25. And I'm going to zoom out and then zoom in. Can you show us your vehicle?
That's my vehicle right there.
Zoom in now. you show us your vehicle?
That's my vehicle right there, sir.
Now let me show you State's Exhibit 26, and I'll first zoom out. And what does this depict?
That's the front of Mr. Apperson's Infinity. Right behind my truck, you can see the roof line of my truck right there.
Let me zoom in. And can you show us now that I've zoomed in a little bit?
Yes, sir, that's the roof rack on my truck right there, and that's the front of Mr. Apperson's car, or his mom's car. The car Mr. Apperson was driving that day.
Now let me show you State's 27. Let me zoom out. What does this depict?
That is my vehicle headed westbound. That's the front driver's side of my vehicle.
Can you show us now that it's zoomed in a little more?
Again, that's the front driver's side of my vehicle on the roof rack right there.
And now State's 28. What does 28 depict?
That's another image of my vehicle headed westbound, the driver's side and the rear of my vehicle, sir.
Go ahead, keep on going.
I'm sorry. It's also showing the rear of the Infinity right behind and on the passenger side of my vehicle.
Let me zoom in a little bit. And can you show us again now?
Yes, sir. That would be my vehicle, and it stops right there, and then that would be the Infinity on the back passenger side.
Let me, yeah. Let me show you a few more, just two more actually. Let me show you State's Exhibit 29. What does 29 depict?
That is the Lake Mary police vehicle, westbound, moments after Mr. Apperson shot at me.
And let me zoom in a little bit, I'm sorry. Okay, and let me show you 30. What does 30 depict?
That's the Lake Mary police officer vehicle that I saw shortly after being fired at, that I made contact with. Right there. Headed westbound, so.
Now, using those photos and using the last two of the five that I showed you, 20, 27, and 28, just so you know what I'm talking about. That one,
Yes, sir.
and then I'm showing you, that's 27 that I just I'm showing now, and then 28. Using those two photos as a reference point, I guess, is the best way to put it. When did Mr. Apperson shoot into your truck?
In this picture, from this picture, he was right behind me to the right. It was seconds after that. I mean, less than 3 seconds after that.
So does this photograph depict about the instant or nearby
Yes, sir.
the shot was shot into your truck?
Yes, sir.
You want to like to publish the video now?
Okay, you may do so.
Mr. Zimmer, what I'm going to do is, let me show you these exhibits, and I want you to use this as a reference point, okay?
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to slow it down. And what I want you to do is, using the time on the bottom as a reference point,
Yes, sir.
Excuse me, Your Honor, may I reposition myself? I'm having difficulty.
Of course.
Your Honor, can we approach, please?
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, they're trying to reboot it because something happened. Would you like to take a break while we're doing this, or, yes? Okay. So why don't you put your notepads face down, follow Deputy Dennis into the jury room, and hopefully it'll just be a few minutes. Why don't we make this a 10-minute recess? Mr. Zimmerman, you're free to walk around.
Yes,
Again, please don't discuss your testimony with anybody, including any attorneys.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Court will be in recess for 10 minutes.